Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster. Here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Retro Cup, and it's only been a week since my last video. Look at that. It's like I'm doing it or something. Alright, my first match is up against Saruka. So, I am running Froslass in the lead. I actually ran Froslass as a lead for a couple of different cups, I guess. I think Retro was one of them. But I tried to look back at my old videos to find out what is it that I use for Retro Cup, because I don't remember my own team. And I rely on the existence of this kind of, record of what my teams are, because sometimes I can't remember when a cup comes back, and it's like, well, I guess I'll just go on YouTube and look it up. Find out what it is that I use, because I don't remember. And, yeah, tried to do that for Retro Cup. Don't have a team. I don't have a standard team. I had a practice battles video and a video where I played some games against Whiskey ITJ, and yeah, I couldn't find an actual video of my team. So, I mean, if I did make one and I just couldn't find it by using the search function, then I don't know why I named it without the word retro in the title. But regardless, this, I suppose, is my team now. So, I have run this team for... well, now, I guess, a couple of days. This is some of my early sets with it. So this first set, I guess I don't play everything perfectly. I think actually all of the sets, I definitely don't play everything perfectly. But I do start this video off with a nice 2-shield flex in the first game of the first set. So, off to a fantastic start. But, when the opponent leads Metacham and you have Froslass. So this is kind of a... like, I've run this style of team before, which I refer to as, like, triple anti-fighter. So I've got a ghost, a flyer, and, either a bug or a psychic. In this case, it is a psychic. I am using Oranguru. Neither of my backline Pokemon is a designated safe swap, because I'm not trying to bait anything out. So it's really just, you adapt to kind of what you see, and I haven't even figured out all of the leads yet myself. It just really depends on what the opponent does and where they are in their energy. Regardless, I sent Oranguru out, and I'm still getting the hang of it, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it to another move, which is why I threw the foul play. Otherwise, I would have just gone straight Psychic, and it turns out I did not. End up shielding this pretty obvious Feather Dance, but that's okay. And now I'm going to throw this Avalanche in the middle of a Gust, because I don't want to take the damage from that Gust, because Froslass is already kind of low. And then Beware comes back out, and, since his switch timer wasn't quite up yet, he can't even switch out yet, throws a Payback. So maybe it was up, and he just really wanted to land the Payback. And my opponent's own Oranguru comes out, and that is fine with me. Altaria just going to throw straight Sky attacks. Looking at how much health this has, I don't think throwing the Dragon Pulse would have made it any better, since I was able to get to a second Sky attack. I'm going to be able to take out this Oranguru here and just fast move down the Beware, and I managed to take that game. That's a GG. Beware is... I don't think it's a good pick. But my opponent's using it, and, we're, acceptably ranked. So these battles are taking place in, Veteran. I was very close to Expert until Retro Cup came in, and I spent my first day of Retro Cup streaming. And naturally, when you stream, your teams end up being quite experimental and maybe not as optimized or sensible as they could be. So I went 1-4 4 times, which is helpful. Thank you, chat. Thank you. I know half of you watch these videos also. Thanks. Thank you. So anyway, Froslass, yeah, I'm just going to throw the Shadow Ball, which is going to be enough to take out the Walrein. And then Kofagrigus is going to come back out, and this is... so here I throw the Shadow Ball because I'm trying to, basically one-shot it. I think throwing the Avalanche probably would have been fine, because I'm going to come out with Oranguru anyway, and I'm going to have to shield the Dark Pulse, but I would have been able to Confusion down from Avalanche range. So if I had the familiarity that I have now, I would have thrown the Avalanche instead. Save a little bit more energy in case it would be necessary later. But this particular battle is actually kind of just me getting hard countered continuously. And the reason that I leave it in is because I like my sets to be complete. That way it keeps me honest. And yeah, also, even when you have a matchup that's really bad and you get hard countered the whole time, there's definitely still areas where there's play. Unfortunately, my opponent gets the crunch debuff, so they're going to be able to go just body slam, and it's going to take me out because I was crunch debuffed. So now I'm going to send Froslass back in, and if I was able to maybe farm Greedent the whole way down, then maybe I'd be able to get something done. But since they're able to switch out into Kofagrigus, not giving me that option, I'm just going to throw this Avalanche, gets a shield, and I'm going to get Shadow Claw down. And that's GG. Sometimes you're going to get hard countered, and there's not a ton you can do. Would that have been better for me if I had swapped Oranguru instead? Maybe. I mean, I would still get hard countered by Greedent. Greedent is a pretty hard counter to Oranguru. Greedent is also a decent counter to Froslass, so I'm actually ABA weak to Greedent. I'm ABA weak to a couple of things, which I encounter, and most of them still have decent amounts of play with. The Pokemon that I'm using on this team are, for the most part, pretty flexible, and they synergize all right. So I take the first crunch, and they're going to get to their second crunch here. It's 4 Bullet Seeds and then 3 to the second crunch. So I managed to catch this crunch on Altaria, which is helpful, and they get a defense fall, which is not as great for me, but it is what it is. And they are going to switch out into their Froslass. So thankfully for me, I caught that move, and they decided to stay in and build up energy, building up to another crunch. Greedent with a move is fine, although Greedent won't win a lot of CMPs, so it's maybe not the most important Pokemon to store up energy on. Regardless, this Froslass is like energy dry, but I'm not going to be able to farm down with my own Froslass safely, so I'm just going to send out Oranguru. I'm going to shield once, and I will end with a bunch of energy. Both of my Pokemon here would ordinarily lose to Greedent anyway, but the situation that I'm in, I'm actually able to just get this Confusion in, and that is going to KO the Greedent. You can no longer swap out to transfer fast move damage, so it definitely faints here. And there's a Nidoqueen in the back, which is a problem. So here at 4 Poison Jabs, I throw my first Foul Play. And then I'm going to switch out right away, because if I throw a Confusion, they'll get to their move in the middle. I get in 1 Powder Snow, they get in 1 Poison Fang, and then they throw theirs. I'm going to survive this, and I should be able to throw 1 Poison Fang, or you know, survive 1 Poison Fang, and then, you know, get 1 Powder Snow and throw my move. But for whatever reason, instead, I just insta-die. I'm not sure if that was lag and they got 2 Poison Jabs in there or what, but regardless, that was super unhelpful because I went down, wasn't able to throw my Avalanche, and because of that, I'm not able to take this game. So did I lag? I'm not sure. It was very close, and you can go back and watch it a couple of times if you want, because I watched it a couple of times to try and figure it out. But you can watch it a couple of times and tell me if I lagged or not, because it looked to me like Froslass would survive 1 Poison Jab even after being debuffed. But, like, you might have another opinion, and that's totally fine. I'm not positive. I'm not sure. But it felt like I lagged there and got robbed. But it is what it is. The game is perfect and never has any problems. So I throw the second Avalanche. I don't know why my opponent waited to throw their move until after I'd thrown that. Since they did, I'm just going to take it. I'm going to go down to the Foul Play, and I'm going to send in my Altaria. They insta-swap out to their Greedent, and that is fine. I'm going to stay in because I definitely can't send Oranguru in here. So take the first Body Slam, that's fine. I'm going to go for a double Sky Attack because I already know from past experience that throwing 1 Dragon Pulse won't be enough. Oh, no, this is the game where I learned that. Okay, so in this game, right? This is Altaria against Greedent from, like, you know, starting HP. I throw 1 Dragon Pulse because I'm anticipating maybe if I land this 1 Dragon Pulse, I won't have to shield, and I'll be able to fast move them down. And they get to their last move anyway, so I end up having to shield here. Would have been better to go double Sky Attack, because I would have reached, you know, the second Sky Attack there. Oranguru is going to come back out and gets in their Confusion, and I'm going to throw my Sky Attack here in the middle of their Confusion. I switch out to my own Oranguru, and they also swap out to an Araquanid, and that's problematic for me. So I am going to have to make this call correctly, and I decide to no shield, and it is a Bubble Beam. So that's fantastic. Now I'm going to throw this Psychic because I reach it, and Psychic does a lot more neutral damage than Foul Play does, being that Psychic has Stab and is overall fairly efficient anyway. So I no shield this again, and that Bubble Beam, it does a lot, and now I'm going to undertap and throw my Foul Play. And this is going to be not quite enough because of how debuffed I am. I needed to get in that 1 Confusion to prevent this Araquanid from reaching another Bubble Beam. And here I make the decision to shield the Bubble Beam, but would it have been better to no shield it so I can save my my shield for later? No, because as you can see from my health, one confusion came in and that confusion would have KO'd me anyway. So very, very close game, but I just was not quite able to take it. So that's a GG. And then I think I stopped recording before I got to claim, but I think that was the last battle of that set, which was a 2-5, which is not great. But let's just move past it. So Froslass into Talonflame. This is a terrible lead for me, and I insta-swap out to Oranguru. Like, Froslass can have some play against Talonflame, but it'd be much better for me if I like lost swap and could come back in later. So they decided to stay in and throw 3 Incinerates to try to reach a second move, but after they debuffed themselves, I was able to Confusion the whole way down. 4 Confusions is 16 turns, and 3 Incinerates is 15 turns, but the damage comes through on the turn right before the thing ends, so as soon as they got their energy from their last Incinerate, the damage from my 4th Confusion landed, and that got me the KO there. So, rough start for my opponent. Could they have just swapped out into Kingdra or something? Maybe. I think they just maybe weren't used to dealing with Oranguru yet, so they weren't too sure what to swap into it. Regardless, I'm going to shield here because this could definitely be a Blizzard, and my opponent resigns the game after the Weather Ball bait, so probably an Earthquake Polytoad there. But that's all right. That's a GG. I should take that game. All right, next up against Bry Anderson. Froslass into Regirock. Oh my gosh, I remember this. So, in my mind, Froslass survives a Stone Edge, right? Because, like, Froslass, she's not that squishy, so I just let it go, and it did that much damage. It does, like... It nearly... I survived with, like, 1 HP and I'm able to throw an Avalanche. I guess it's 2 HP because they got to throw 2 Lock-Ons. But, yeah, in the future, I will be shielding the first move from Regirock. That's just... that's what I learned. That's what I learned in this battle. So I'm going to take a Stone Edge on Oranguru. Not used to using Oranguru either. I figured it would do slightly less than that. Regirock, I guess, hits Stone Edge. Stone Edge is a pretty good move. It hits pretty hard. And then my opponent swaps out to Kofagrigus, and I'm definitely going to stay in. Oranguru is like one of the hardest counters to Kofagrigus. I am in Dark Pulse range, so I can't really overfarm too much. If they had snuck in a Shadow Claw, then they might reach a Dark Pulse in like 7, I think. So I throw there, and then there's a Kamo O in the back. I throw 2 Confusions, and then I swap out. I want to make sure that Oranguru has enough health that I can't be lock-on down if I end up in that kind of position. And I decide to no-shield this Dragon Claw, saving my shield for later, and I'm going to throw a Sky Attack here, and that lands, and then I'm able to throw 2 Dragon Breaths and take them out. So kind of a wasted shield from them. But their Regirock, even if it had a shield at this point, they are in Confusion down range because I've still got my shield. So yeah, managed to come back from me letting my Froslass get one-shotted by a Stone Edge. So that was a GG. I felt very good about that comeback in that game. All right, next up against Larry Birds. So, Froslass into Araquanid. Araquanid is actually a pretty good answer to Froslass, relatively speaking. Like, yes, I resist the bug bites, but they are doing a lot more than the resisted Powder Snows are doing. And my Shadow Balls hit for neutral, but it only takes it down to half health. And then they swap out into Regirock, and I almost made it to an Avalanche here. And I'm going to shield this Stone Edge. And now I'm just going to go double Avalanche. 2 Avalanches is almost enough with the Powder Snows to take out a Regirock. Oh, I guess it's actually plenty. Maybe this Regirock doesn't have the best IVs. Maybe I'm hitting some kind of breakpoint. I don't know. But I switch out into Oranguru to catch the Stone Edge. And I snuck in a Confusion, so I'm going to try to just Confusion the whole way down, and I just barely make it, ending with a decent chunk of energy. If Araquanid comes back out, I'm going to have to throw a Psychic or something at it, because Bug Buzz can obviously one-shot me. And here I'm throwing the Psychic, but like looking at it, maybe it would have made sense to throw the Foul Play instead, because I don't need to kill it with this move. I just need to put it low enough that I'd be able to Confusion down. And they're going to throw a Bubble Beam bait, which is fine, except that they just get to farm me the rest of the way down. And if I had thrown a Foul Play, I might have been able to throw another one. Actually, I think I would have fainted right beforehand. So it was fine. And then my opponent swaps out into Froslass because Altaria is a total wall to Araquanid. So once I one-swapped there and was able to line up Altaria with Araquanid, I was definitely in a very good position. My Froslass already had an energy lead, So I am just going to shield, even if this is an avalanche from that Froslass, it would, I think, very close to take me out at this point. And now I'm just going to throw this next Shadow Ball. No need for me to bait because I had this secured. And I don't need to even worry about leaving myself with low health to farm down because 1, the Araquanid is quite low, and 2, Araquanid with 100 energy still can barely hurt Altaria. So just going to Dragon Breath the rest of the way down, and that is a GG. Altaria has some very hard counters in this meta, in like Walrein and Froslass. But since there's no like charm, no fairy types, it's, you know, it's not even really that bad. Like Altaria with energy can at least threaten Walrein, which, you know, maybe not by that much, but like 2 Sky attacks, you know, plus some Dragon Breath takes out a Shadow Walrein for what it's worth, right? Like that's something. So my opponent switches in an Araquanid into Froslass, and I stay in until they're at the Bug Buzz, and then swap out to catch a Bug Buzz on Altaria, but I instead catch a Bubble Beam, which is fine. It does very, very little damage. And I am intent at this point on farming the whole way down. Why they had swapped out of like Walrein into Froslass, I don't know. Walrein against Froslass isn't actually that bad of a matchup for Walrein, by the way, just for what it's worth. Like Walrein, pretty solid Pokemon in general. So my Dragon Breaths are starting to do less and less as I get debuffed, and I'm already at 100 energy, but I don't want to throw any of it because I just want to be able to unload back-to-back Sky attacks against Walrein or something that comes out, and I should swap out immediately instead of throwing anything because I'm so debuffed that my moves just won't do that much. Like, that did, like, I don't know, half of what it normally would have done, maybe slightly more than half of what it normally would have done. Switch it into Froslass, and I get a shield, which is fine. Oh, Walrein wasn't in the lead. What was I talking about earlier? Right, Gal. Oh, right, they swapped out and caught. That's what happened in this game. I don't know why I was talking about the lead as though it was Walrein in the lead. I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry. So, I throw the Avalanche against this Galvantula, and they Volt Switch me the whole way down, and at this point, it would be kind of, you know, dangerous to send Oranguru out, so I'm just going to send out Altaria. I will lose CMP here, but I'm still going to be able to get the Sky Attack off. The Sky Attack will definitely be able to take Galv out from this point. Hits for neutral, does decent damage, and then I'm just going to insta-swap into Oranguru. And I had never played Oranguru into Walrein before, but the confusions are definitely chunking. I feel like I should have gotten a sneak in there. It just looked like I was gonna, and then I didn't. They're going to throw that one Icicle Spear, and I'm going to throw this Foul Play, which is going to just barely not take them out. They also, like, snuck in a Powder Snow, so I'm getting very low. They're going to throw one more Powder Snow, and they're able to reach their move, but I will just barely survive this. For what it's worth, my Oranguru is rank 64 or 66 or something like that. So it's decently well ranked, but there's definitely thicker ones there. So I think if you have a pretty good Oranguru, you can survive 2 Icicle Spears from Walrein, but it's a very close matchup. All right, so next up we have an Alolan Golem, which I was not really prepared for mentally. I also messed up on my counts on this and definitely threw like a full turn early. So I get a shield, and then I swap out into Altaria to catch the super effective Stone Edge. It was super effective against both of my Pokemon, or catch a Rock Blast. It was super effective against both of my Pokemon, but Altaria is able to tank damage a lot better. So I would definitely survive another Rock Blast, but I'm going to shield this, and it turns out to be a Wild Charge, which I'm fine with. They throw another rollout and then get to their next Wild Charge. I'm going to no-shield this, because even though it's a Wild Charge, I still survive it. I throw one Dragon Breath, and then throw my Sky Attack. Double resisted Sky Attack against quadruple debuffed Alolan Golem, able to take them out somehow anyway. I had no idea if it was going to or not. And a Pidgeot comes out, which is great for me. Able to get my Froslass on this. That is fantastic. I fast move tonight here, which is kind of risky, but I felt that I needed to do it, so I can throw this Avalanche. I get a shield, and then they, yeah, it feels like one of their gusts came out a little early, but I mean, I denied, so I'm not going to complain too much. I shield the obvious Feather Dance, and there's a Jellicent in the back, and for whatever reason, I throw my energy here. Like, I'm double debuffed. There's absolutely no reason to throw this. I get to switch out into my Oranguru, and Oranguru is a pretty strong counter to Jellicent, especially if it doesn't have Ice Beam. This one does have Ice Beam, but still, I'm resisting the hexes. It's going to take 3 Ice Beams to take me out. And I'm built up to like a foul play at this point. So I could definitely have saved my energy on Froslass and just swapped out into Oranguru. There was really no need for me to throw it. And here, I'm going to throw the foul play because I'm not sure if a Psychic would be enough. But looking at it, Psychic was definitely the right choice. Psychic plus plus like a Confusion I think would have been enough. But all the same, able to get to the second foul play, so I'm able to secure that game. That is a GG. So yeah. Nice, nice. So, wrapped up that set. That is a 5 out of 5. I had some very difficult leads, especially like Alolan Golem, which I am ABA weak to. So, ABA weak, I'm weak in the lead, and I'm weak in the back. But yeah, I go up to 25-24, so I'm back into actual veteran range, which is whatever. It's fine. So next up, Froslass into Zangoose. Zangoose is a very difficult lead. I am going to swap out into Oranguru right away. And the reason I swap into Oranguru is because the Shadow Claws are resisted, and I feel like it'll push them to get out instead of storing up a bunch of energy. And they throw one Night Slash, which does so much, and then swap out and store a little bit of energy. I think they have 3 Shadow Claws of energy left over. So I throw Psychic against Metachamp, which is fine, and I get countered the whole way down. Was very close to being able to reach a foul play, but just did not quite make it. Gonna send out Froslass, and I'm hoping that they were like Pup Ice Punch, but they in fact were running Psychic, the more normal set, which is fine. I take all of that damage, and I am just going to Powder Snow the whole way down, absorb that Ice Punch. And like Zangoose comes back out, and I let my Froslass get Shadow Claw down. I should have just immediately swapped out into Altaria. I don't know why I did that. So I'm going to no-shield this first move. They're actually not going to be able to reach a second Night Slash, most likely. They boost and then get out. Actually, I think they do reach another Night Slash. I think they have it. So they boost, and instead of throwing their second Night Slash, they get out. And I am just going to throw this Sky Attack against Cresselia. So Altaria versus Cresselia in the 2s. I don't know how it's supposed to go, but I do have like a slight energy lead, and hilariously enough, I decide to shield this first move, and it's a Future Sight. I was, at the very least, I was expecting a Grass Knot bait, because I was expecting Grass Knot and Moonblast, but I guess, with there being no Dark types allowed in this cup, right, Retro Cup, if you didn't know what that is, no Darks, no Steel, and no Fairy. only the typings that they had in Gen 1. Wow. Sorry, have not made YouTube videos for a while. Forgot I'm supposed to cover what the cup is in the beginning of the video. So yeah, that's what we've been watching. That's this meta. So yeah, managed to Dragon Breath down some things and some stuff and throw some nice charge moves, and I take out Cresselia with a Sky Attack because, you know, the Grass Knot would have done nothing. So that's a GG. There we go. We're fine. All right, next up against Rebels Battle Bill. I have a very, very positive win rate against Battle Bill. I have no idea why, because, you know, here he's rated around the same rating that I am. But for whatever reason, I just, like, I'm always either hard countering or his game lags in the middle of a match anyway, and he just dies. So when I see Battle Bill, I'm like, oh, free win. Nice. And then, yeah, he was leading Deoxys, so I'm like, oh, free win. Nice. I'm sorry. So yeah, I go Shadow Ball first, in case they decide to no-shield and go for a Rock Slide. Shadow Ball will one-shot. Once they've taken all that Powder Snow damage, Avalanche is actually plenty, so I'm just going to shield the second move, and, you know, it's another Rock Slide, and that's fine. And now I'll be able to throw my Avalanche just fine. They switch out and catch the Avalanche on their Greedent, and also sneak in a Bullet Seed, so this is okay. So I'm going to build up some energy to replenish the energy that I lost, and then swap out into Altaria to try to catch a Crunch. I mean, it should be a Crunch. There's no reason to bait. We're out of shields. So catch that Crunch, and I don't get debuffed this time, which is a lot better than how it happened last time. Last time I got debuffed. This is fantastic. So I can absorb this Body Slam, and that is fine. Feels like my Altaria just isn't throwing Dragon Breaths as quickly as it should. Like, there's just a little bit of stutter lag here, and I'm just not quite getting the moves out. So since they're going to end up reaching another Bullet Seed because I missed out on a couple of Dragon Breaths, I'm forced to throw the Sky Attack, which is fine. And there's a Wall Rain in the back, which is not ideal for Altaria, but this is going to be fine for Oranguru, so I'm just going to throw the Sky Attack. I get in that damage, and now that I've gotten that damage in, I am pretty safe from here. I can bring in Oranguru. He throws on Alignment, and I'm able to sneak in a Confusion. I'm easily going to be able to survive this Icicle Spear, and I'll even be able to survive the next one just fine. He throws that right away. I am going to be very low after this, though, so if he is able to swap into Deoxys... My Confusion landed on Wall Rain because you can't transfer fast move damage anymore. Takes me out with a Psycho Boost. Now Deoxys is debuffed, but my Froslass is not in Icicle Spear range yet, so I'm just going to throw this Avalanche right away so I don't take any additional damage. And then I'm just going to Powder Snow the Wall Rain down and take my free win against Battle Bill. GG. GG, Bill. So, I don't think you watch my videos, but... I'm sorry, I hard countered you in that game. All right, Froslass against Hypno. So Hypno could be running any moveset, especially in the first couple of days. There's really no way to know what it'll be running, but the typical moveset for a non-Shadow Hypno is, you know, Thunder Punch and Shadow Ball. And I don't see any reason why you wouldn't run that in this particular meta. I swap out into Oranguru to try to catch a Shadow Ball, and they don't throw anything yet. And then they do throw something, and it is a Thunder Punch, and that's fine. I mean, I've picked up one shield. I'm not going to be doing a ton of damage, obviously, with my Confusion, and neither is he. And these Thunder Punches, I mean, they are adding up, but they don't really do that much. I'm not sure if I would have won CMP there, but I opted to just try to overthrow anyway, just to see if I could get in some extra Confusions. And I'm going to throw my Foul Play here because I'm not sure if Oranguru wins CMP. In retrospect, I'm pretty confident that it does. The Foul Play is going to take out the Hypno, but I'm going to have to throw one Confusion to reach another move. And it's a Primate. So I'm fine with this-ish. Primate hits pretty hard and does learn Ice Punch. So I'm going to shield this first move and see what they're throwing. And they're throwing a Night Slash. So decent chance that this is running like Night Slash Close Combat. But since it could be Ice Punch and maybe they were just hunting for the boost, I'm just going to throw the Sky Attack to take them out or force a shield, and that would inform what I would do. And there is a normal cast form in the back, which could be knowing Weather Ball normal, Weather Ball rock. Looks like that was super effective, so that was Weather Ball rock, and the other move could either be Weather Ball normal or could be Energy Ball, but regardless, I'm probably just going to be taking Weather Ball rocks. And I survived that one, able to throw the Sky Attack, which is huge. My opponent decides to not shield. Actually, you know what? It was totally irrelevant that I got that Sky Attack off. Now that I'm looking at it, there was no need. So I'm going to throw this Avalanche. Since I wasn't able to get the shield from them, end up doing that. And here they're going to throw their move, but I have my shield left, and Froslass will definitely win CMP against Cast Form, so able to just shield that and then, you know, throw my Undertap and throw my Avalanche, and that is going to secure the victory, and I managed to take that game. That is a GG. But I think my Altaria still, you know, would have been able to get one Dragon Breath through before the Hex anyway, so it would have been okay even if my Froslass had gone down. That's GG. All right, next up, Froslass in the Mirror. So this is obviously, it's dangerous to bait. My opponent just decides to not play the baiting game and just swap out into Greedent. So I take from this that they probably have two answers to Froslass in the back. I end up taking the first crunch, and I'm just going to build up extra energy and then swap out to Altaria at the last second. I had tried to catch the first crunch, but for whatever reason, it just didn't, my swap didn't work. But it's fine, I'll take the second crunch. It's okay. And it actually had turned out to be a Body Slam bait, which is hilarious. So, gonna take this next Body Slam, and that's fine. I'm not going to be able to Dragon Breath the whole way down, obviously. I mean, Greedent's super, super thick. They throw that one, and in the middle of their next Bullet Seed to get to their next Body Slam, like they're going to have the energy for their Body Slam here. I'm going to throw the Sky Attack just to see if they want to shield, trade shields, and they don't. And there's a Crustle in the back. Crustle is one of those Pokemon that I'm also ABA weak to. It is very strong against Froslass and very strong against Altaria. I'm able to land my my neutral Sky Attack, though, because it's resisted by Rock and you know, super effective against Bug. And I'm going to send out Oranguru, who will take super effective damage from X-Scissor. I don't want to have to take this damage, though, so I'm going to shield that X-Scissor, and then they swap out into Froslass. I'm going to throw my Foul Play right away. And if they no-shield this, I'll stay in and Confusion down. And since they shielded it, I switch out right away to my Froslass, and I'm just going to go straight for the Shadow Balls. So they shield the first one. I'm fine with that. I'm going to reach my second one. They're only at 5 Powder Snows right now. They might have reached to 6 if they had snuck somewhere, so I might be winning CMP against their Avalanche. But Crustle comes back out, and that's fine. And all I need to do is get one Confusion in here. I felt confident I would survive the X Scissor, and I mean, in retrospect, I almost certainly do, but I decided to shield anyway, just to be super, super safe, and because I'm on like a 9-win streak right now, in case you hadn't noticed. So that's a GG, managed to take that game. All right, Froslass into Abomasnow. So this is like, against Shadow Abomasnow, this is okay. Like, I much prefer being against regular Abomasnow because it's still going to take one charge move to take down Abomasnow, whether it's Shadow or not. But their Energy Ball is nearly enough to one-shot, so I'm going to shield the first move. Hopefully it's not a Weather Ball bait, and I actually call it correctly, and it's not. I do, in fact, shield the Energy Ball. Now I'm going to reach my next Avalanche and see what my opponent wants to do. And they're going to shield. So I tried to switch out into Oranguru to catch an Energy Ball, and I'm not sure if they were throwing it or not, but there was definitely some kind of weird lag there, and then like my Oranguru finally went in. I decided to no-shield the first move, it's a Weather Ball, and then I decided to no-shield the second move, and it's an Energy Ball, and I get to learn how much that does, and the answer is a lot. But this is okay. So I have Froslass with Energy already, and I am committed to just farming down. I'm going to shield whatever this is. Even if it's a Weather Ball, it would still probably take me out at this point, because Shadow Abomasnow hits pretty hard. And then they swap out into Regirock, and for whatever reason, I'm throwing the Shadow Ball. There's really no reason to do that. Like, Avalanche, double Avalanche plus Powder Snow is enough, and if I had thrown the Avalanche, I would have reached the other Avalanche one turn earlier, and I would have been able to throw that and take out the Regirock instead of getting hit with the Stone Edge and dying. So, definitely a huge mistake by me to throw the Shadow Ball. I just needed to throw the Avalanche, but I saw the rock typing, and I felt like I needed to throw something right away in case they were going to snipe me down. I come in with Altaria, eat one Stone Edge. It doesn't one-shot because Altaria is pretty thick, and they have their own Altaria in the back. I'm going to throw this super effective stab Dragon Pulse, and it does not enough. And I get Dragon Breath the rest of the way down. Ruins my win streak. That's GG. Having a Froslass with still like 40% health would have made that a much easier matchup. But still, I managed to go for a 4-1. So first set was kind of a mess for me, but I felt like I got robbed out of one of those games, but it was a 2-5, and then I went 5-0 and 4-1, and yeah, I'm still learning my way around this team, but I've been having a pretty good time with it. Oranguru seems like a pretty safe Pokemon to use. Doesn't really get hard countered by a lot of things. As always, I like using Froslass, especially in the lead where you can build up energy and come back and use it later, and Altaria is really bad if the opponent lines it up with a Walrein, but otherwise, Altaria is pretty strong and has play against a lot of things. So, that's my team, and those are my battles. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know what you're supposed to do at the ends of videos, so please do those things. Helps me out a lot, and yeah, I would like to get my view counts back up now that I'm back to making content, and now that interlude season is finally over, and we have good reason to climb. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. That's not how you stop.